It's Otto versus Leenock in a Roos mirror. This guy is no pushover, though. It's rank 34 versus 17th. Let's see what he has in store for us as we hop into this one on good old Highview. I'm pretty excited, actually, to see what Otto's got in mind. So Otto, like I say, I don't think he's a smurf. He's played 276 games, I think it was, in Quick Match. He's ranked 19th. A decent amount of games were played in Ranked Season 1, a decent amount here in Ranked Season 2. Could be a smurf, but I haven't seen any evidence towards that. I'm just going to hope this is the new name. It'd be really beautiful, wouldn't it, right now, right? With the increased numbers on the charts, with all these new people, as well as old people come back to the game. Maybe we've got someone fresh and skilled at the top of the leaderboard. So let's see if they are skilled enough to beat Leenock, though, in a mirror matchup. I feel like mirror matchups usually get treated as kind of the de facto way of knowing if someone's better, right? It's actually kind of weird, actually, the more I think about it. So, like, in the world of Dota 2, which I've come from previously, like, you used to have the 1v1s mirrored. And the whole idea is you could very clearly see who was better because everything was basically the same. The kind of crazy part is, like, everything isn't exactly the same in mirror matchups in AoE. It can be a little bit tough depending on the spawn. But having said that, these spawns are fairly balanced. The gold is a little bit split more variably maybe for Leenock, but the wood line seems somewhat fair. The deer placements are good. The ball placements are also really secluded out on the sides. Like, overall, this feels like a decent generation for a Roos mirror. And oh my god, this is a decent start for Leenock. He snuck right across to Otto's side. He yoinks the deer, and look at the puppies he's got with him as well. We're going to start up his own sled dog competition here. In fact, Leenock and Otto both at 3 scouts, but notice the pull on the wolves are there for one and not the other. Otto will finally find one in the center, but overall, Leenock looking like he's getting the lion's share right now, or the wolf share, I should say, especially when he comes back to this corner. And in fact, he's moving there now. This looks like this could easily be a 400 bounty game, or close to, and Otto could be trailing far, far behind. Nice micro there. Leenock yoinking the final hit after Otto gets baited in. Return the sheep back to base. Wrap around. Leenock won't contest for that one sheep. He's going to move forward of this. And I think the goal here is he wants to harass enough damage onto Otto's scout so he can go for the corner deer. That would be the optimal strategy here. Instead, he's really focused on bringing in those sheep because he doesn't have many in reserve. Has got plenty waiting to return, though, in the midfield, but Leenock is still scouting around this area, trying to find additional puppies. After all that, actually, Otto might be doing a little bit of catching up of his own. However, the corner is all Leenock's right now, and Otto, buddy, you got to look here. It's the only place you haven't looked. You haven't spotted the deer yet. The micro is slow, actually. I think, yeah, that's too late. Leenock's going to get the entire stack. Even if he comes down now, he maybe contests one deer, max. Leenock actually delayed in his tech up timing. Kind of surprising here. Otto is going up ahead of him. However, Leenock has a better situation on the bounty count, as he's about to crack tier 2. Should easily be over 300. Oh. Scouts, good micro here, though. Otto. Wait, what? Oh, I think he's trying to phase Leenock here. Lee. Ooh, he got baited into it, so it means he has to contest the other one. The wolf that isn't going to go down in time for him. Final shot comes out. Nice recovery there by Otto. That's actually a big deal there. That's a 50-point differential that would have put Leenock close to, probably in the end, 350, while Otto would have been possibly lacking the crack into tier 2 bounty. Really good recovery, actually. Impressed by that. Like, before, if it wasn't for that detail, this would look like a complete another mismatch in terms of their Riz play. In the end, Leenock is still going to come out ahead because there's double wolf on the backside. But they are going to be neck and neck. They're going to share most of the bounty down the line. If it sounds like I'm nitpicking about the bounty a lot, like, we have to remember, 1, mirror matchups, the smallest differences go the mile. 2, I actually think that the bounty system is a very big difference. Even on maps where you don't go for the gathering on land, because it's not about the gathering or the hunting cabin generation. It's about the random gold that you end up with. You inflate your gold mass, and it allows you to get your first night out, your tech out quicker. All these things escalate very quickly in mirror matchups. Looks like Otto will not be going for any sort of proxy play. Not surprised by this, though, considering how far out the boars are. They're not exactly in an exploitable location. Leenock, of course, slow with his tech up. Interesting. I'd love to know how he ended up behind here. Did they both get wheelbarrow? There it is. Okay, it had to be something, and now we spot what it was. Otto did not get wheelbarrow early on. Leenock Is this why? Yeah, it's a ball pull. He's actually going for it. And I like this play. The reason I like this play is now it should be safe all the way to castle. You have to think about what this is. People see that... I feel like a lot of people, they load into Age of Empires 4 right now. They watch a Roost Mirror or whatever, or Roost featured map. And they see a ball that's out on the side. And they say, that's a bad play. Ball, not good. Don't go for ball. No, actually, it's a variable play, and the variance is good. What this board does is it ensures a resource bank that isn't going to get harassed for a long time. The reason it will not get harassed is, especially in Roost Mirrors, what tends to happen is both sides rush towards castle. In rushing towards castle, they are not putting out aggression early on. Even if they choose to put out aggression early on, the most common form for the Roost players will be into archers. If you build archers, you want the shortest route possible to your opponent's base. Going down here is not a short route. And I love this from leaNock. He mirrors the move of Otto, but he does one better. Instead of playing on the deer, he plays onto the boar. Now, there is admittedly a little bit more deer than there are boar. Of course, you have got 7 here at 350. You can do the maths on that and learn that, you know, it's going to be more than 2,000 the boar. But the gathering rate of the boar is better. And the other cool thing is leaNock could potentially convert this into like a proxy-based play and play towards his opponent's side. Now, having said all this, it would have been better for leaNock to play north side because he would have had the gold vein as well. But the reason he didn't is that it's longer to reach there for him, and it's a shorter route for Otto. If you look, you measure the distances, you can see one of them starts further south, one of them starts further north. So that's why he didn't go for the northern boar. I think Otto's going to kind of be punching himself in the groin slightly that he didn't play for the boar, actually, because that boar is incredible value. The gold vein, the stone behind it as well. I actually think it was a value play to go for. He does at least have longevity with food, though, right? Because he got both the deer and the berries compared to just the boar. I think that's just the only downside I see of this. While leaNock's getting really good gathering rates, he needs to convert it into something fast. Otherwise, this is just dead weight territory. Like, you know, imagine saying, I built this TC so I could get straggler trees. Try saying that with a straight face. It's not easy. Oh, leaNock, what? Okay, he heard me. I said the other boar is better. He agrees. It's a double boar play out of Lee. This will accelerate him phenomenally well. And Otto has no clue this is going on. Look at his vision. He's now playing north side, but the time he sees it is too late. His reaction won't be good enough because now he's kind of in for a penny, in for a pound. He's going to go for his own castle age, but leaNock can now beat him to the punchline because he's got double gathering rates at 0.9 food. My, oh my. And I don't think this is even too greedy out of leaNock. All he's done is one-up the greed of Otto. Otto stopped off for the Knights, but like the Knights came out so much later because of his TC build that he doesn't have a way of blocking the boar plays at all. This is great identification and reaction by leaNock to the gameplay elements presented by Otto. Otto opened up this door when he went for the TC. So the fact that he's now at this point is fully on him. leaNock, quick reaction will peel back as he sees the Knight raiding in. Hasn't gone for a single military production building yet. We could see a Rax coming out soon. It would make a lot of sense, but there's also justification in not wanting to go for it. You are up against another Roost player. If you go Rax, it makes it very easy for him to go into archery ranges earlier to counter you, depending on whether his win condition is in castle or feudal. And I wonder if leaNock actually spotted this second TC, or if the reason he went for this much greed is because he saw 0 military presence or play towards boar. I don't think he spotted the TC, but he just understood that his opponent wasn't fighting early because he never saw an early Knight unit. And that's why he went for the secondary boar play. The reason why he, like, it's actually weird how it's less risky the way he waited. So he went for this boar because it's closer, so the Knight raid less likely to hit. He goes for this boar afterwards when Knights could in theory be proud on the field because his scouting vision was inside Otto's base. He saw no Knights, and that's why he got away with double boar. That's why, if you look at the numbers, you can see he's quickly going to reach up to castle. Otto's kind of hard stuck investing now. Like, he needs to do some damage at this stage, or he will fall incredibly far behind. You see him now on the prowl. Wooden Fortress is being built up, though. Interesting choice by leaNock to build the lumber camp here. I'm wondering if... I don't think leaNock realizes that you don't need a lumber camp. So for those unaware, a Wooden Fortress, its influence will affect town centers. So he did not need this lumber camp at all. It was a waste. I don't think he realized, though. Look, it even tells you. You see lumber camps and town centers within influence return 20% more wood. So yeah, a bit of an unneeded play, but it's fine. You know what else is damn fine? It's gathering rates, although he's a little bit behind Otto right now. That's due to the idle time that was forced on that TC. However, Rax units are coming out. Spearman line is building up. And Otto still without wheelbarrow. I mean, we're 10 minutes in now. There's not really much reasoning behind it being missing anymore. You could say he's pushing double knight, but still, you find 150 gold. Especially when you got supplies like this. He can afford it. A little bit of a mistake in my eyes. I mean, it's going to put you behind in the eco departments because you are playing off of deer. Deer, berries, like all these things that require runtime, as well as the wood lines. I think you are going to start falling behind here. And keep in mind, Leanok, he's trying to budget for a tech up. That's why he went spears instead of matching knights. He's already behind the count. He didn't want to double down on feudal. He just wants to access Castle Age with limited investment in feudal. Now the defenses are somewhat holding. As Otto is trying to peel him back, but unless Otto is willing to invest into archery ranges and archers early on as well, Leanok should be able to hold. And there's no way Otto wants to go archers. He has to understand that with the ball play going on, Leanok has the ability to reach castle quickly. And if he goes into archers, the horse archers will just reign supreme here. Because you won't be able to match the tech up timings. And there it is. There's the bad news. Otto is going in the double archery range. Now, one-on-one, archers will beat horse archers in terms of like cost investment logic. The problem is in the fluidity. Leanok is going to have the ability to move around your archers. He's going to have the ability to raid proper. Your only unit that can raid proper if you're Otto are these knights. And it's going to be triple archer range as well. Leanok now taking up 16 villagers working at it. This is going to be a fast timing. And look at the layout of the relics. We haven't talked about this yet, but this actually, with the composition he's gone with the location of his secondary TC, this heavily favors Leanok. Even more so when he pulls the Abbey of Trinity to the south side. Love this play. Makes a lot of sense when you consider the inefficiency in straggler tree gathering. And all of a sudden, he has an Abbey of Trinity placement that gives him clear access to 3 relics close by. One of them, irrefutably not going to get assaulted at all. Archer ranges were building up the backside. Looks like the villagers did get sniped down. There's Otto now with an 8-point lead. Had some value out these knights, but now needs to find a way to attack up. He gets the bad news that Leanok has reached up. And he's been sitting at home, twiddling his thumbs when he should have had an army ready to dive in. Needs to rectify that mistake very quickly here because Leanok is already looking to escalate. Crossbowman is going to be the choice. Love this pivot. Fantastic pivot, in fact, out of Leanok. Crossbow costs is the same as horse archers. Different resource rather, with secondary, but same total. They will, however, trade incredibly well against the knights. And actually pretty well against the archers. Archers only have 5 base damage. Watch how much these crossbows have. It's kind of ridiculous when you check it. 12. 12 damage. And they won't take bonus damage from anything here. It sounds weird to build it against spearmen and archers, but it is actually the right call. Especially when he has a cheap line of spearmen to guard. That's exactly what he's going to do here as he guards with a secondary line of arrows coming out from the wooded fortress as well as the TC. Just spread out as the knights try to dive in deep. And Archer's now the switch up. Looks like he needs to just get cheap, fast units out. That would be the difference. Crossbows take a lot longer to produce, so Leanok now going into the archers. Now the wooded fortress on the forefront. I like what Otto is doing here. Leanok seems like he's panicking a little bit. He's at least picking up the relics, but he's not actually escalating his military count. What will Otto do off the back of this? Double wooded fortress into siege engineering. He's looking to ram in. Otto, who still doesn't have wheelbarrow, by the way, so a lot of idle time was spent running these villages over the map. Now out on patrol. If he hit north side, he'd be too late. Looks like there's a shift to the south side. Leanok went back for the deer, but does have the wooden fortress to protect. Give him early vision on the flank and also a way of keeping these villages safe. 7 knights will not be good enough to breach a wooden fortress. Remember, this defense did not receive the nerfs of the other outposts. It still has 2,000 HP. Leanok distracted on the front line. Ram's got his attention. Mistakes made. Leanok, no! Only 5 villagers get in. I have my doubts on whether there's enough arrow fire to kill off all the knights, but Otto has his doubts on whether it's worth the trade anyway. Just back away and go even deeper. Ram's moving in. Leanok, where's the count at? Militarily, this feels underwhelming. I do like the Siege Workshop play, though. A Mangonel could change everything, and it looks like he is building into it right now. However, he needs to address the Knights. The Knights could be the critical detail that could overwhelm you. If you don't guard that Mangonel at all times, you could easily lose it. Torch damage coming out in the Wooden Fortress in the meantime. leaNOK, his eco is shrinking, shriveling up as he's 20 villages behind Otto now. Otto really setting the pace and showing you exactly what can happen when you rush castle age like this. Despite the fact that he was out of position with his spears at the beginning of the castle, it didn't matter. leaNOK didn't hit the critical mass, and now he's in trouble. Knights marching onto the south side as well. Is going to spot the Avid Trinity as well as what's happening around the secondary TC. The Warrior Monks not being in the fight means there's a lot of additional damage missing for leaNOK. Wrap around in the meantime as the Spearmen try to move in, pushing the villagers away. Will back away from the Mangonel as he spots it out. Otto now knows the threat is there. However, a few Knights could easily answer this threat. Otto is not holding anything back, not looking for that tech up. He needs a bigger one-up before he thinks about aging up himself. Spearmen are at least going to get rid of the ram, but heavy damage done. The full wood line is shifted south side now. The problem with this, however, is there's a lot of open territory, and Otto has access. The good news for leaNOK fans, at least, is that Otto has no interest in this secondary base yet. He wants to finish off the primary. Credit to Otto for using these villages still. Has the Hunter Cabin, has been gathering the berries. It's also stripping away surplus resources from leaNOK's side of the map. It's going to force him into a farm transition quicker than he wants to. Once he has to go for those farm transitions, there's a heavy burden on his wood. He needs that wood right now for the siege. You can see the next siege coming out. It's going to be the Trebuchet play. The Rams have switched target. Otto says, actually, I will address this secondary base. Primary one is clearly being defended right now. And you have a static army, which means you cannot move into position quick enough here. Double Ram now going in. Plenty of spears here as well. Secondary TC could easily be sniped out. leaNOK could be in trouble. The wraparound. Going deeper, looking for the villagers. Plenty of them just idling in AFK. The Rams will now move on the TC. Torches out. There's a Spearman pursuit as well. They just want to torch this down fast. Get rid of the TC, and it's worthwhile for the trade because at that point, leaNOK can never catch up to the eco loss that he's facing here. And it will burn down fast. Only 2,400 HP. Soon to be 0. TC down. Now targeting onto the Wooden Fortress. leaNOK does get the veterancy upgrade on the Spearman. They're still struggling because this Mangonel is moving at the speed of an old lady with a Zimmer frame. It's not fast. And it needs to reach the archers as well. It's a secondary detail. Torch down. 8 more villagers just go down the gutter. leaNOK. Mangonel's shot is good. That's exactly what he needed. But is it going to be good enough now that you're almost being doubled up in the villages? Meanwhile, chase in Warrior Monk. Looks like he's going to be sniped down. So Relic is going to be snatched away. And Otto now having free reign to dive into the base of leaNOK. Secondary wave trying to recover. But barely any spears here. And meanwhile, the beta where at the end of this, it doesn't look like that good of a fight for leaNOK when you think about it. Plenty of eco down the drain. Military trade not that bad for Otto. And Otto ready to double down with more troops now advancing straight into the base of leaNOK. Knights already in. No textiles for leaNOK either. Oh my, oh my. Oh my. It's 92 to 40 eco. The lead increases. Another Wooden Fortress goes up, but leaNOK, these won't last long, my friend. Otto is setting up a secondary wave to come in again. It's never ending. I dread to think of how many villagers had to die. Textiles still not taken. Knights still threatening. Spearmen reacting quickly, but these early Knights have paid their dues, paid for themselves, in fact. A back away as Otto doesn't want to lose momentum. Wants to keep the military count in his favor. He doesn't have the quality. He can at least have that quantity on his side. And now he's ready to get that quality. Tech up is finally ready. Behind that, the escalation factor is clear. Look what happened from leaNOK. He went back for another TC. He still does not have the farm set up. Meanwhile, farms are in full swing. Otto already up to 17. He now has scalability. Being late on the tech up, he will also make the logical choice here. No play into an Abbey of Trinity. Instead, it's going to be a high trade house. Won't be the highest in numbers fielded, but it will still be passive gold. And the passive gold is kind of the irrelevant small detail here. The big detail is that leaNOK is sitting at 40 villages, while Otto is up at 100. I'm going to click on the income right now, and leaNOK fans should look away. What is that food income comparative? Otto is over here right now singing Feed the World. And Lennox people are just saying, we never get fed. We only eat on Mondays and Thursdays. And even then, we have to choose one of our own to eat. This is catastrophic. Another thing to consider is that Abbey of Trinity is on the front line. Which means that's going to be gone. The passive income is going to be eliminated. You can see the Rams already prepped, ready to go in. Otto biding his time as he waits for the tech upgrades to come through. Lennox still trying to get the trebuchets together to break out of his own base. And meanwhile, Otto makes sure he's never breaking out the sides. Wolves going up around him. Otto choking the map out. And that Abbey of Trinity is just a tribute to the Yellow Roost right now. As the yellow goodies will no longer be generated from here. 300 gold gone per minute. And the problems are escalating because look what's coming next. Otto, Boy's Fortitude is being researched. Night lines are being bolstered up. Doesn't even care about the Rus horse archers. Says actually the archers are good enough. Just need someone that can stand their ground and be incredibly obnoxious. And, well, the obnoxiousness is about to level up here. Consider this. Lennox is about to run out of a tree line. Then it's straggler trees. You're not getting your secondary tree lines. You're getting nothing. Relics are at least going to be recovered by Lennox. But you do not feel good about the state of affairs right now. And Otto, he wants a keep drop. That's what these villagers are prepping for right now. The stone is being gathered up. A keep drop on the west side would shut Lennox out indefinitely. He just doesn't have the treb count to quickly siege through. Knights, in the meantime, distracting military on the east. Love this play by Otto, drawing attention away so he can move west side. Wooden Fortress is going to go up first. Otto moving in position here. Still doesn't have the stone required for the keep, though. We'll spot out what is happening from Lennox, however. I think he's just going to make his way past towards the deer in the end. No reason to try and hang around to block any sort of play out of Lennox. Make no mistake, folks. A keep drop is on its way. Otto now over 800 stones saved up. It's going to be a Wooded Fortress play, actually. I love this. Budget approach, but it's going to block out the remaining deer. In fact, if he garrisons straight away, he'll probably snipe down 2 villages because guess what? One side still doesn't have textiles. Explain this to me. The side that lost half their population doesn't have textiles, but the side that lost practically nothing does. Oh, wait, that's why he lost nothing. Get textiles. If you think you're going to lose more than 3 villages, get textiles. If you confidently believe in a game, you're not going to lose more than 3 villages, fair enough. I think Lennox past that point, though. These people don't get fed. These people don't get clothed. They don't get coffee breaks. Okay, I actually don't think they care about coffee breaks back in the Castle Age. They get nothing. This truly is Rus serfdom, isn't it? Meanwhile, we've got the Rus Republic. What we've got here is we've got Muscovy versus Novgorod. No, not Novgorod. Novigrad. Novigrad? Novigrad. Damn it, I haven't played Europa Universalis in too long. Yes, Novigrad. If anyone's played EU4 or knows their history at least, they'll know that comparison, what that means. One was a republic. One was fair. The other was a typical feudal empire. However, in this situation, I don't think history is going to repeat itself that way. I think the Republic might win out. No Emperor Sidious to bring it down this time around. Double the villager count still. Also, still having the military lead also. Wars going up. It's not a wall as much as it is the beginning of a construction of a tomb to encase Lennox in. And the cheap Rams, they've had their value here. Slowly just depriving Lennox control of what he needs so desperately. Movement onto the secondary wood line finally occurs, but this could easily be aggressed at any stage. And Otto isn't in a rush for good reason. He has so much map control and such a big economy, he's just going to get Imperial first. An Imperial Age which Lennox isn't even remotely capable of. just look at the numbers. It's pretty ugly to look at. He only just really started to sort his farm situation, right? And that heavy delay in timing has put him miles behind. Another thing that stings for leaNock, he never actually got the tier 3 bounty. That would have been quite nice, the gathering rates at this stage, but 5 bounty off. Oh, God, that's a spit in the face. Also, just amassing a cheap army of crap. The whole logic here is he wants to save gold, doesn't want to expend it. And then, when he techs up, he can look to throw away an army if need be. It's unlikely that leaNock wants to contest him anytime soon. As Lee is still in the defensive. He went for 2 TCs in this corner. You are not the Chinese, sir. I know you love that Civ, but maybe don't play the Rus like the Chinese. It's not the same impact, and oh God, the negotiations are getting worse. Every time leaNock comes to the table, he gives over another 20% of his land. It's a back farm area, which is great, but it's a very condensed and ugly looking share of the map to take here. Marching the horsemen, looks like they made their way in. Gates built everywhere to ensure it for Otto. Denies the wood, denies the gathering. leaNock once again taking an eco hit. Able to quickly march away, and the bad surprise comes in. Tech up is now complete. High Armory is the choice. For good reason. No need for a Spaskai Tower here. You have full control of the game. So get your cheap bang for buck, get your scalability in the late game. Triple Siege Workshop being set up. The Bombard should be being pushed out soon. Streltsy already being queued up by Otto. He has full dominion over Highview. And let's look at the plus sides for leaNock. Well, he's not really far away from being able to go have a fresh game where he can maybe win. Okay, let's look for positives in this match still. Is there a way back in? Well, if Otto has a heart attack... Okay, I'm going to stop being mean now. It's very difficult to get back in this one, folks. leaNock would have to outplay Otto in 3 sequential fights. The problem is Otto is approaching a point with Military Academy coming online, biology as well, where he can just attack, like he can just basically smash his head against the keyboard and still come out ahead, as long as he doesn't hold his head on the keyboard long enough that it triggers the delete units. It seems that he held his head on the keyboard long enough that he deleted the units. But this is fine. The timing on that. Because he just built Streltsy. That was pretty good timing, right? Everyone in chat right now is like, so you're saying there's a chance leaNock Copium being huffed in mass quantities? leaNock, I think if you tech up, sir, you tap out. He doesn't have much of an option, though. He kind of needs it, especially with the Sacred Site situation. All 3 being capped. The pressure's now on. You need to come out and play soon. leaNock is going to start the tech up. High Armory is going to be the choice. Doesn't feel like a choice from a position of power, though. Springel's already prepped. Shutter triggers coming through with the banded arms, which means any siege you have is going to be going bye-bye. And the whole reason he goes for the Springles is to protect the Streltsy that are amassing already up to 13, and that's really the scary part here. Once leaNock completes that tech up, if he starts queuing Streltsy, I'm going to do him a favor and say the game's already over. Because you cannot amass Streltsy quick enough, not with a 35-second timer and a lack of Military Academy. In fact, leaNock, if you want to go for a tool, Military Academy needs to be researched right now. No waiting. Ram once again knocking at his door. So annoying the way Otto plays this game, but so effective as well. There's no rush for him. More wooden fortresses being set up. He's walling layer after layer. He knows that leaNock has to come out now. Tech up complete. But Otto says, and? So? Why would I care? Answer? He really doesn't have to. Not with Streltsy line in full force now. Up to 20, that's a healthy number. He'll continue to escalate it, but once it's at 30, that's when Leanoc's in trouble. Because these Springles will snipe out the Mangonels before they get shots off. And you can see Otto, every once in a while, throwing away 1 or 2 troops just to get scouting info and also replace them with Streltsy. Well, nicely knocked Trebuchet there, but Otto's response is touche to your Trebuchet as he brings 2 of his own, and now that keeper's in trouble. Shout out to my boy Core coming in with the raid. Just in time to see Leanoch have the screws turned on him. Why do you hate Leanoch so much, Core? What is this? Big Otto fan? You guys should be. Ranked 34th and looking like he might be climbing more with this type of performance. Leanoch kind of in shambles at this stage. I just love the way that Otto played this game up to this point. Leveraging the fact that Leanoch wanted to castle up. Leveraging the fact that Leanoch wanted his greed to go for a hard push in feudal that put him miles ahead. And sure, he arrived in castle later, but look how much quicker he was into Imperial. Springle's now forced to fight Leanoch. Careful with the trade, son. Trebuchet's going to be taken out, but my concern is the lack of defenses. Leanoch at any stage, a breach could come through. A flood, a tide of troops overwhelming you. Especially the Streltsy on that double time, but just need to be careful of the Mangonels. The Mangonels are the one redeeming factor for Leanoch right now. The one way they can maybe clench up here to turn this around. Otto sends in another wave of horsemen just to frustrate and be annoying, sniping onto the eco. The big issue I see is Otto doesn't have to come out, or come in rather. You have to come out. Meanwhile, snipe in, horsemen, not able to pinch additional Mangonels. They get at least one of them though. Gold income is still good for Leanoch. That's the critical detail. However, he needs to build a siege workshop at the High Armory. He's not getting the discounts when he has to replace yet. Now the march in. On the move. Only 2 Mangonels. Streltsy could be threatened by this still. However, the Streltsy can make quick work of Leanoch's army. Movement in right now. Stand their ground as the Mangonels are looking for their shots, but they're not in range just yet. They're attacking the front line. Leanoch, come on, move! Move fast! He needs to go in. Streltsy staggering themselves a little bit here. Shots coming out. Not good enough, though. The Streltsy are going to make short work of Leanoch's defense force here. Flood through more horsemen, baiting the attacks from the green Strelts. Nice hit. Heavy hit. Otto, the greed. The fact he doesn't want to back off has cost him dearly. He needs to retreat. He'll peel back for the moment. But remember, the time is still ticking. Leanoch still needs to go. Only 1 Trebuchet means he can't get through the defenses fast here. He takes a good fight on the defensive, but Otto has a second wave coming. He's almost military pop capped again. This time, it might just be more cheap horsemen with the Streltsy following through. Feeling pretty confident about the state of affairs for yellow at this stage because green has no way of breaking out, getting on top of these sacred sites and getting that decap. And the horsemen just keep on coming. A lot of troops are lost for Leanoch there. His gold is drying up. In fact, if I look at the income per minute, oh my, how it sinks. He has gold no more. It's just this little bit on the front line, and that's gone. Pretty much gone. Every single gold vein he wants is an exposed and vulnerable territory. Something that Otto can turn the screws with, and I think that's why Leanoch is going to wave that flag. Doesn't see the value in it anymore. No way for him to recover in this game. Otto, what a way to present himself. What a way to show himself across to the community here. This guy's looking spicy, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the future.